One, in this video, we are going to briefly touch up on workshops as well as master like these immersive experiences, no matter what you call them. Generally, what I'm referring to are 2 to 3 day events that are more exclusive, generally paid. You either sell them during your events or as part of your programs, and pretty much this is the most common ascension play, the most common like sales play that coaches use when selling from stage or selling from um, one-on-ones even. And the reason for that is because it's sort of a done with you style thing, where you're not doing something for someone, yet you're selling them on an immersive experience in which you cover everything. And that's how you position it. Like if it's underwater, like if it's art therapy, 3 days, we'll teach you how to become an art therapist. We'll take you throughout all these modules, we'll do all of it. If it's marketing, if it's sales, it's whatever business development, property, building your home workshop. But they're pretty much like long experiences. You can have them shorter as well. But what I'm generally referring to the 3 day ones or 4 day ones or 2 day ones because um most coaches lead to this and it's more of an implementation focused thing. And generally, one of the main reasons why this ends up being the most commonly used play is it's easy to fulfill. That's one of the most important things where the operation cost is not that high. If you sell people into 6 month long programs and offers, then delivering it becomes a pain, right? So workshops are generally the anchor point that people use to then later sell their done for you services at the workshops for even higher price. So quite often what you would experience is you'd go to these events or you even yourself or even for most of these coaches, right? They would sell you into a $3,000 to $5,000 workshop, and then at the workshop they will sell $15,000, $10,000, $30,000, $50,000 products of theirs that are more done for you style. And that's generally how it goes. You come into do-it-yourself events, and then are sold into done with you workshops, and then you are done from there sold into done for you or really high-end coaching or really high-end packages. And that works well because it acts as a qualification process. You can potentially sell really high-end products in a free event, but generally the conversion rate might not be high. But the thing is, in a 3 day workshop or 2 day workshop or whatever, you have bloody 2 days or 3 days with with them, where you are brainstorming them and working with them and building that relationship. And they get to see your skills and they get to see the process and understand how everything works. And you can position it however you want. And so it's much more easier to sell high-end products and build a stronger connection with every single person because they're also smaller groups than it is to do at large scale events, right? Um, and then normally the transition play works really well. Now, for the workshops themselves, when it comes to running them, the style is pretty similar to running done for you events. Sorry, for running events, just generally so you guys can watch my previous 2 videos on the events, in-person events playbook. So this is going to be similar. Virtual is kind of a bit double-edged, so here's something to keep in mind. If your goal is sales, I won't recommend virtual. You have kind of pros and cons for both because virtual, you can do it globally or countrywide, but it's much easier to sell higher ticket at in person than it is to do it virtually. Um, Yeah, people can leave anytime, and there's just not that much overall social experience that enables you to get somebody to be more committed and reshape their identity and get them into an environment where they're more likely to take a different action. Because if they're in their room or if they're in their home or wherever, there might be distractions, they might have different agendas or whatever thing it is. So it's like both have pros and cons, but on the other hand, virtual ones are easy to fulfill. You can just swap it up anytime you want and execute it pretty easily. But your sales might be affected, right? So again, you can start virtual in the long run, do in person. Let's just put it that way. When you start generating more revenue, venue selection is similar. Most of you can do small rooms or boardrooms even. The thing with workshops is location might not be as important. I mean, again, you want to pick the right location, but you can pick locations next to the airport, or you can pick locations that are, um, like rooms and places that because now people have paid for it, so they're going to attend that anyways. Free events, show up rates aren't affected, but for paid events, if somebody has paid 3 to 5 grand, they're likely going to show up. So you can be conservative with your venue spend. And also on that note, I don't really see that much appeal in being luxurious with the workshops where you're trying to, like, people are coming there for value. They're not coming there for free lunches and free drinks and all of those things. Obviously, it helps if you're trying to build reciprocity or whatever, but otherwise, don't increase the expenses of servicing so much that your margins are cut out, which sometimes affects people from hosting workshops where they just think it's so expensive. And I won't host this in-person experience, so you don't need to do that, right? Keep that thing in mind. Now, a few notes that I made here is there's pre-workshop stuff, there's during workshop and post stuff. Workshop. In this case, we're going to focus on monetization, right? Something that when I started doing and that absolutely changed the whole game for us was normally what happens is you sell from stage at the workshop after providing people value, similarly taking them through in-person activities and stuff like that. And obviously having your team there so they can help everyone out and sort of be a part of the process. But the thing that works even more was from a sales perspective, you embed one-on-ones. That's the first thing. So at a workshop on day three, you can have an EOI-based close where you can sell from stage and say anybody who has questions or would like to speak to me first or one of the members of the team first, write your name on the application of interest. And on day three, just pull people out and you do one-on-ones with them, and that your sales team can just crush it like they're warm leads. They've been spoken to on day two, they've been pre-framed. It's much easier to close them, right? Um, Adds more bowl, like it's like multiple sales conversion points. Just like you do that at events, you can do the same thing here. The other thing is, besides just this, have your team, if you're gonna do one-on-ones or something like that, look everyone up beforehand, send them a survey, ask them what they're struggling with, ask them what their goals are, ask them any other product specific question. This is just like a pre-sale questionnaire where you understand what the person's goals are and their needs are, and then during the workshop, you dig deeper, you make a hit list. Now, this is an important tip. There are going to be attendees that are going to be loaded. Let's just put it that way, right? I know I sound malicious, but um, again, servicing the best clients is going to be one of your advantages. And you would automatically, like, I know everybody who is coming probably paid money, but some would be having more expending capacity, right? And it would be easier to convert them into clients. And they're generally better quality clients as well. I mean, you should just generally do research on everyone that is coming in. Like, don't be lazy because the more you know about someone, the more you can improve them, help them change their lives, and also influence them in being part of your products and services. But the other thing you would want to do is make a list of people that are most likely to act. But again, don't be biased here. You'd be surprised. There are people who might apparently not look rich, who have the assets and the value to spend, which is why you should also have questions that are more oriented towards their businesses or job titles in place. So you can understand that even if somebody doesn't have a lot of social followers, doesn't mean this person doesn't have a lot of spending expenditure. And I've noticed that happen so many times that most people that we think are simple or not very socially active are actually the ones that are actually spending time running businesses, right? So you bring them in um, during the day before you know their details. So then when you're selling them, or even during the event, you can speak to them during lunches. Your team can interact with them, encourage the team, help them diagnose their problems, generally provide people value. You would be able to provide them value when you can predict their problems, know their solutions well in advance, and structure plays along those lines. So even better if they're executing that during the event. So they can see the problems go away and the benefits up close, and they would want to continue that experience, which is why people generally pay at the workshops, which is why the workshop is so amazing that they just want that to keep on happening, right? So they would then spend more money down the line. I used to do this. Uh, Completely changed everything. Obviously, another sales play that you can include, now this is optional, is having other sales speakers or other coaches as well who you think would be a good fit in terms of the theme of the workshop. They can also come in and sell. And this is likely a more qualified audience, so they're more likely going to spend, right? And obviously, you sell first and bring them in second, so you are able to convert the most. and or generally depends what your priorities. And also you generally would want to sell your high-end packages here. The 10,000, 15,000 done for you or your inner circles or things like that. You add them here, make those offers here at the workshops is where you present. You can present that at the like depends on how much sales you're doing. If you have multiple speakers, you might do it yourself on day one if you're the only one who's selling. You might do on day two and then get them to sign up an EOI. For those that haven't signed up but are still interested on day three, you could close. But sometimes, like you could just add one-on-ones with the whole that with everybody, right? And have your team just pull them out and then just talk to them during the mid of day two and day three if sales is the priority. And you could position that as a strategy session and then give them value. And then later on also recommend them the solution to their problems. And most people, assuming they came to this event for your service, you would likely have an ascension process or your done for you service that can allow them to achieve whatever target they have. I'm not saying use this in a malicious way, but if your service is generally something that is going to deliver, fix their issues, and get them the goals they have, then you can absolutely recommend that to them on one-on-ones. And even better, you can personalize and tailor offers and contracts and plays in one-on-ones. I used to bend the rules, break them a lot, and that just enables you to get more sales. If somebody cannot pay, they can't sign up for the payment plans or something like that. I might just make it something weekly or adjust it based on that. If they want something extra, I might cut an inclusion of the offer and add something new. You can train your team on this and they can play around with the offers to personalize it on what the person requires and then just execute it based on that. Hidden tip, all of these things increase your conversion rates a lot, which adds up at the end. Now, another thing that you should also keep in mind is we've covered pre-workshop surveys, immersive events and identity shifts. People are more likely going to take an action if it is in line with the new when they're seeing the outcomes and the results and it's in line with their commitment to transformation, right? Like that's why Tony Robbins or Date with Destiny or all of these events are so converting and so impactful, where it is an immersive experience. You give them a new identity. You tell them that you guys are no longer gonna have those problems or live life in the way you used to and make those mistakes. We are committing to taking the change, and that's why you're here. And you can give them a label even. You guys are now level 10 entrepreneurs. You're no longer beginners anymore. So you give them an identity that they need to live up to. You guys are the exceptional people. You guys are winners, and winners act a certain way. And that new identity then gets them to act in terms of actions, in terms of commitment, where they're trying to do something. You need to frame things right. Um, you guys are committed, you guys have those goals, and now we are serious about chasing those goals. We're not going to make excuses anymore. And then that shifts their overall action capacity. They're more engaged, they're going to be more conscientious and all of those things. Obviously, you don't need to do other stuff. Tony has music, five sensory, dancing, all of those things, energy, transformations, tears, stories. But for most of you that are tactical workshops, you don't need to do that, but just shifting somebody's identity and labeling them as something new and carrying that forwards towards 3 day is good. Again, these are tools. Cults use identity shifts to then get you to do bad stuff, but you can absolutely use it to do good stuff as well, right? Which is why all of these lessons I sometimes feel slightly conscious about sharing them because they can also be misused. But I'm hoping and I'm praying if you've gone through this program and if you've understood the mission or the goal of entire Project Starlet is you would do the right thing. Anyways, moving on. Um, no need to, yeah, I've covered that. Now, I'll also cover another side, which is actually, I'll just share my screen first. Let's share screen, open new tab. Is that, let's just find this thing over here. Damn, my head hurts. Oh yeah, I just forgot. So here's an example, the style of this thing that we did. Forget all of this thing. So there were two things. There was this workshop that he did, Ignore My Fears. This is ages ago, and I was reading a book and Ty was in front of me. And then there were all these, well, I don't show the people, that's weird. Yeah, this was sort of the workshop. Ignore that. So there were all these people, and then he did a private lunch on the second day for the VIPs at the workshop. So he had two ticket tires, right? And the thing that happened there was that you found more people who then signed up for his product or service at the lunch, after the lunch. And it wasn't a hard sell. He just said, for those of you who are interested in this thing, go and talk to this guy. For those of you who are interested in cheaper packages, go and talk to this guy. Not cheaper, like he just worded the name of the mastermind. He was selling masterminds, 10, 30, and $100,000, literally. And he made $200,000 sales out of an audience of 60 people. And I was like, bloody hell. And that was the other lesson where you can like high ticket, you can sell upwards of $100,000 products if you're attracting the right audience. But anyways, so he was able to achieve that. And then what ended up happening was that it just sort of opened, like made things more clear for me that lunch probably got him more sales than everything else because it was a different environment and people were having fun. And sometimes lunches themselves are like a good place to overall provide reciprocity and then utilize that to then lead people into taking action as well, right? And it's just like more fun and they're more relaxed and they're more open to suggestions. But on the other hand, parties is something that is not made for sales. It's made for either retention. So like these event parties, like end of financial year or whatever, or you include bonus parties at events, they're either made for the network effect. So people pay to be there, but at the parties, you don't sell more stuff unless you literally take them to a separate room or something, because it's not like that sort of environment where you can do that, right? So parties are mainly there for social audiences that would rather pay for fun stuff as opposed to paying for rigid working environments. They're like, oh, there's an after party or there's something and I might as well sign up for it and I can meet people or something, right? So it's more so an experiential thing that you add to get more sales, not you add a party to make more sales at the party. No, the party is there so that whatever offer you're adding that party to, you can divert an audience towards it. And again, I remember I've been to these like high-end ones and seen them and nothing special happens there. It's like just a normal networking event. Your existing team would enjoy the experience and they'd want to stay longer because the community is there and they like working with people and they exchange contacts and they provide each other value. But the same thing doesn't happen on the other end, right? Anyways, that is it for this video. I'll try to keep it short. Hosting parties and lunches isn't easy. You just pick a restaurant or you just pick a venue and then you just book it for a night. Like it's pretty straightforward. Um, Sometimes if you're doing events at a hotel, you just there generally are restaurants or bars in the lobby or downstairs, and you can just either reserve it or something like that. Sometimes people pick rooftops, again, entirely up to you. But yeah, lunches are good from a sales perspective and connecting perspective because you can speak and you can engage with them one another and you can put it in like a round table thing. But parties are more of an informal thing, which is more so for the experience itself, for the delivery and fulfillment. And I'll see you guys in the next video.